From deep in the heart of Beverly Hills, you found For Love and Chocolate with Mr. and Mrs. Truffles. Well, welcome back, everybody.
Well, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, there's something that I'd like to talk about right now.
There's a lot of things I'd like to talk about, Mr.
By
Truffles.
all means, baby, go.
Oh, no, you first, Mr. Truffles.
Okay, well, first, I want to extend a healthy and warm congratulations to my dear friend and agent, Mr. Dan Barron, who recently got engaged.
Oh, isn't that
nice?
sweet? It's such a sweet love story.
It is a sweet love story.
And his fiancée is beautiful.
She is, and maybe in
Yeah.
20 years they can be on the show.
Congratulations, Dan, and best wishes to you,
Yes.
Mrs. Dan.
Yes.
Soon to be.
And I bring it up not only because it's so fantastic, but he said something to me early on in the show. He had listened to a few episodes. And, I don't really like to talk about my credits as an actor, I mean, you'll be the first one to bring up that I was on Baywatch, which it's not
Everybody is so excited about that, though.
About me being on Baywatch?
Obviously.
I don't think anyone, especially the sharks, no one wants to see me in the water, sweetie.
Okay.
Anyway, so you're the first one to kind of sing my praises. He did this, this, and this. Well, Dan did say to me about 5 or 6 episodes in, he said, so I've been listening to the show. My fiance and I, or girlfriend at the time, listen to the show, love it, and we actually talk about it after every episode. He said, so I've got good news and bad news. I said, okay, hit me. He said, the good news is the show is really great, really fun, really fresh, and interesting and entertaining. I said, great.
He said all that.
He did.
Wow.
And he said, what's the bad news? He said, the bad news for you is that Mrs. Truffles is the real star.
Oh, he just likes to tease you.
No, babe, it's kind of true. I mean, you've taken this thing on, and it goes even further. A friend / customer, really a friend, was in the shop today and had mentioned, by the way, I'm listening to the show and I'm loving it. And by the way, OMG, Mrs. Truffle's voice is so sexy. I was like, yeah, she's got this little kind of kitty cat thing going. And then she said, what does she wear during the show? It's like, this has gone beyond what I'm comfortable with.
Obviously I'm sitting here in pink flamingo feathers and...
Yeah. Anyway, the reason I bring it up is because it's not just me that loves you and your voice and your way. It's like it's catching on like wildfire.
That's
baby.
2 people.
Well, there are at least 2 people that find you really warm and lovely and
Well, it's
sexy.
a start, I guess.
A start, I know. But I just, I'm a lucky guy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm the lucky one, Mr.
I'm married
Truffles.
to a podcast star.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else is going on, babe? Because I know you had a lot of things to talk about today, didn't you?
Well, I do. There's
Okay.
so much to talk about.
Okay.
As you know, this Thursday is Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And it's a busy week at the store.
Oh, boy.
And we sell lots of really cute Thanksgiving items, right? We've got beautiful turkey boxes with feathers and silk flowers, and they're stunning, and they're all handmade in our factory in Zurich. And then in addition to that, we've got little pilgrim boxes that are so cute.
Yes.
And, my family comes from pilgrims, so I feel especially connected to those little guys.
Perfect.
Yeah, they're very cute.
Yeah.
And we have chocolate turkeys. And we're starting to get all of our holiday, gingerbread, the Stollen bread.
Stollen bread.
Don't steal the Stollen.
Don't
And, of
steal
course,
it.
we've got the marron glacé.
The marron glacé.
Which isn't exactly a Thanksgiving tradition for Americans, but our European customers go cuckoo for it.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
They love the marron glacé.
Yeah. The thing about the Stollen, if you recall, is that, this 6 years ago, this was a very new venture for us. We didn't really know exactly what was coming, but they sent us, I think it was 45 giant boxes of chocolate to get us ready for the holidays. And within that were, 20 loaves of Stollen. Stollen is a rum-soaked fruitcake. And the way that Teuscher does it is that the sugar and the cinnamon and the butter, it all kind of falls to the bottom. And it's so yummy. I love it. And I think we got ourselves a couple loaves. And I was so taken by the Stollen that the next year we ordered 300 loaves. And I think we sold 13.
Yeah, we probably sold more than that, but it felt like we only sold a small fraction of them because you did kind of overdo it.
I may have overdone
But here we are. We just had our 6th year anniversary.
Yeah.
And we are ordering just the perfect amount of Stollen now.
Yes.
And we're just kind of getting it all dialed in with our little shop.
That's right. Our advent calendars.
The Advent calendars
Those are
had
fun.
landed. And of course, by Thanksgiving Day, we are going to be so exhausted from all the busy working that we will probably just get our food pre-made from Bristol Farms and sit around in our pajamas all day watching football and eating pie.
It's sad, but it's also just a beautiful thing.
It
You don't have to
is.
lift a finger. Just have to lift a fork. But that's enough. I mean, honestly, yes, I grew up, as did you. You know, big Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was such a beautiful holiday, and it still is. It's just kind of morphed into a little something different for us, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I kind of like to think about when we're so busy working on all the holidays now is I think about all of the years that other people were working hard and I got to just enjoy the holiday thanks to other people's hard work.
Yeah.
So now maybe it's kind of my turn to pay it forward.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
That helps me get through these brutal days.
And then we have, after the holidays are over, then we get to have our fun. Well, Mr. Truffles, either way, I just want to say I'm very thankful for you. And I'm very thankful for Adam.
Yes.
And I'm very thankful to everyone who always tunes into our show now. And I think you know what time it is.
I'm very thankful for the mailbag. All right, Mrs. Truffles. Well, what do we have in the mailbag today?
Okay, well, let's take a look in the mailbag today, Mr. Truffles. Oh, dear Mr. and Mrs. Truffles, I am writing to you today with a question that is truly weighing on my mind. I am very in love with a woman and seriously considering proposing to her. The problem is that I am an extremely fastidious and tidy person, and my girlfriend is always very messy. She squeezes the toothpaste tube from the middle and never puts the cap back on. Her clothes are always all over the place, and she leaves her socks on the floor. I can't imagine living without her, but honestly, I can't imagine living with her either. Do you have any advice for me? Thanks, Theo.
Theo. Well, that is a problem, but I would also say if that's your biggest gripe, you're a lucky guy. I don't know. Maybe...
I don't know. I think it's not going to work.
Okay. Let's call the whole thing off, Theo. I don't know. Can you teach a young dog new tricks? I don't know. We have something similar, don't we, Mrs. Truffles? I've got good hygiene, I think, but I'm not the most organized guy, am I?
Yeah, you know what though? I'm also not like super fastidious and fussy about this. Although I would say, if you always squeezed the toothpaste tube from the middle and left the cap off, it might have been a deal breaker.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Well, Theo, I think that through just a mild encouragement, I think you're not going to fix this in a day.
Oh, I don't think he's going to fix it ever.
He's just going to have to live with
I
it.
think he's going to have to just
Suck it up.
No, I think you should keep looking.
Oh, Mrs. Truffles, you're in a mood today. Oh, Theo, I think you'll make it work. You'll figure it out. I mean, you're a tidy, fastidious guy, aren't you?
Truly. Yeah, well, good luck to you both.
Yes.
Well, all right, Mr. Truffles. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about today's wonderful romantic couple?
Okay, Mrs. Truffles. Well, today we have Jeff Astrof and Shawni Astrof. Now, Jeff is the pride of Seaford High School, having left Long Island to become a successful Hollywood writer who married a beauty queen. He was one of the original writers on the show Friends and left to be one of the first writing teams hired by DreamWorks, where he met his wife. Despite a near-fatal career move hiring Tom Gallup to star in a pilot, Jeff has gone on to create 2 shows and 2 beautiful children, with more shows on the way. Shawni Astrof hails from Springfield, Oregon, the same town that the Simpsons apparently come from. She got her BFA from CalArts in acting, but didn't want to drive a beat-up car her whole life, so became an editor at DreamWorks, where she met Jeff. She went on to produce 2 beautiful children and still edits Jeff, but not enough. Today, she is living her dream, and Jeff's dream, as a preschool teacher. And we'll be sitting down with him next, when we come right back with more for Love and Chocolate. For over 40 years, Toysher has been a staple in the Beverly Hills community. Like so many other families in the community, our family has had a long-standing love affair with Teuscher chocolates. Over the years, we've formed traditions and memories around these extraordinary Swiss chocolates and the enchanting wonderland of fantasy truffle boxes inside our store. Today, our family is proud to be carrying on the Teuscher tradition in Beverly Hills. Well, welcome back to the podcast, everybody.
Welcome back.
Sweetie, can I just do something right now?
Well, you can.
Okay,
yes.
okay. I want to thank you, Lucky Star. Thank you, Lucky Star. Thank you, Lucky Star. Do you know what I'm doing?
You're thinking your lucky stars.
That is because you are in my life.
Oh,
and I just
but I think
love
you're
you.
also thinking the lucky stars for another reason.
I am. I'm thanking my lucky stars because we have my old friends, Jeff and Shawni Astrof, on the show. And you know how long I've known them, sweetie?
30 years?
Almost 30 years.
I don't know how I guessed that.
I don't know. You're a genius. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. This is really uncomfortable. It is, I didn't realize this would be intimate. Do people know that none of us are wearing clothes on this?
They don't.
No. This is like... I mean, I've honestly never done a show from a sauna, but I think I see why now, because it's really it's sultry.
Here we are.
Is what it is. We're going to have to up the steam here, I think, on our end.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
We're happy to be here.
And should we launch, Mrs. Truffles?
Let's do it. How long have you two been married?
We've been married for 24 years.
Yes, we were married in 2000. So
Okay,
that's
makes
that.
it
We
easy.
married in 2000, so we would always know.
So you already celebrated 24.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So yes, the big it's 25 coming up.
Yeah.
Fun.
Hopefully we
amazing.
make it. Yeah. God
Well,
willing.
so,
See how this goes.
I'm going to ask the question that Mrs. Truffles always asks. How did you two very first meet?
Yeah, actually, you remember meeting me more than I remember meeting you,
That's rude.
which is ironic because she's so
kinda
far in
is,
my
'cause
league.
she's
No,
kind of a
because
knockout.
the reason
Yeah.
no, she's a knockout. But here's the thing: we worked together. I was a writer. I had just left the show Friends right before it went downhill after season 2. Didn't want to be there for its slow decline for the next 8 years, and burden myself with
You're
money
like
and
a
fame.
savant.
Yes, I had a weird feeling that 8 years from now I would want to be out of here, so I got out. I avoided the crowd.
Good work. Yeah.
You know, and they say you can't put a price on the relationship, and I can. It cost me about $18 million, but worth it for this one. No, I was a writer on the show, and we were in a bungalow. Then Shawni can take over from there because Shawni was an editor.
Yeah, I was an assistant editor on that show.
What was the show?
It was called It's Like You Know.
Okay.
Is that DreamWorks? But let me start by saying, I was thinking about this today. I actually saw his name on his parking spot before I met him, and I thought, Astrof. Shawni Astrof. Oh, no, it has a nice ring to it.
Come on, that
I
did
really
not
did.
happen.
I really did.
Yes, that's
Wait,
true. She
before
told me that.
meeting you?
This is sort
Yeah.
of embarrassing. Yeah.
That's really funny.
No, but you know what? That's the kind of immediate magic that we hear from a lot of long-time married couples. Like just these crazy little hints in the beginning.
Manifest.
And,
I don't know.
your maiden name?
Modrell.
Modrell, which is a great name.
Which is a great name. It
right?
wasn't like I was trying to
No,
get out
no.
of. Yeah.
I actually saw Shawni's name, and I thought Jeffrey Modrell. So this really,
like it.
it was really manifesting.
They never put editors and writers in the same place. But on this show, once again, we're talking about, the woo-woo happening. The executive producer writers, which is you guys, right? Were you
Co-executive producer.
co-executive
sure.
producers at that time? They put them for some reason in the same bungalow as the editors, which
Never happens.
never happens.
Yes. Never happens.
Right? Never
Universe
happens.
is
Why do you think?
conspiring.
It was meant to
Okay.
be.
I will say the first time I really, though, remember you was when you came in to get coffee in the writer's room. You were wearing the purple shirt. She came in to the room and asked for coffee, and she was so bright and happy and smiley. And my best friend at the time, this woman, this writer, Allie Adler, was there, and she was just like, well, look how gorgeous the editor is. Now, who else noticed that was my writing partner, who you know.
Mike Sikowitz,
Mike
who
Sikowitz.
shall remain nameless. Go
Yes,
on.
thank you. No, my writing partner plays a pivotal part of this story. So I guess they had gone out like a couple of times.
Wait, Shawni and Mike?
Because I'm dating someone else. I'm dating
Right,
somebody
so what happened?
horrible.
You came in, yeah. He had written one of the episodes. He came in to kind of see how it was all coming together. I was putting together some of the scenes and saw that he was carrying this very cute little dog. And I was like, it's a cute guy. It's a really cute dog. And I said, wow, that's a cute dog. He said, oh, thanks, it's my girlfriend's. Want. I'm like, okay, so he was not available.
What is
That
wrong
was the
with
first
you?
time we actually spoke.
I played it perfectly right.
You did?
Because I was like there was nothing to do. I was very, very faithful. I've never cheated on anybody. Never
I like this
anything.
element that you're like, I'm in a relationship.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that she's the most beautiful woman.
I-
I'm in a relationship.
But even like in pre-marriage, I've never cheated on anybody. I didn't think of it. I just thought, wow, she's cute. And I remember she comes in to get coffee. She's like, wow, knockout. I'm in the tail end of this horrible relationship. And Mike is like, starts kind of dating casually this gorgeous assistant editor who's Shawni, who comes in. I just remember that. You had your hair in a ponytail and you just light up the room. And
So sweet.
made me I just remember you coming in and like making small talk and talking with the writers, and you said something like, you were smiling. I was like, I'm not used to seeing girls smile. Shawni comes in, my friend Allie's like, wow, look how hot the assistant editor is. I can't believe Mike's going out with her. And I was like, well, she's really hot, but I didn't think anything of it because I'm still in my horrible relationship. I was in a horrible relationship with not a great person. Ended in a car chase with her trying to
Seriously?
stab me. Yes, like not a car chase. She was hanging onto the car trying to stab me as I was driving backwards from she was insane. Anyway, the headline is I have a bad picker. All my relationships have ended except for this one.
Violently?
No, it didn't end violently, but they end poorly because I pick poorly. This is not the love story part. That's a crazy story
Okay,
of a
that's
crazy
fascinating,
person
but go
who
on.
stalked me for years afterwards. I was very afraid. Every time I saw someone with long curly hair, I was afraid that it would be she, her. I'm not using pronouns. I'm just trying to use proper grammar.
No, you were afraid of she, her.
We finally broke up because she tried to kill me. I was like, it's over now. As I was
was the last
driving
straw?
backwards down the cul-de-sac,
The last straw.
and I believe I yelled it as like she was tumbled, did like a stunt roll down the sidewalk. I was like, "It's over." Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm going to call 911, and then it's done.
Really over there.
And it's really over as she went down. Yes, Benedict Canyon.
That sounds a little bit like,
Fatal Attraction. So I only dated crazy women. So
wow. And what was the attraction?
Crazy
Crazy?
which is
Crazy?
why I thought we would not get married. I'm like, I'm not crazy like that.
Yes.
So now he's single.
I'm single, but Shawni doesn't know this.
I don't know that.
Everyone's still alive.
Right,
and
everyone's
you're
Everyone's
still
single.
alive. Mike,
So your date was actually visiting the ex-girlfriend at the ICU.
yes,
before
no, she
getting
did not
pizza.
die. She did not die.
That's
She's
good.
still alive. Anyway, now I'm not a cool guy, believe it or not. I'm not a cool guy, and I've only been cool twice in my life. One group of those was with Shawni. And it had to be where like these times where God takes over because it's like this idiot is not going to be able to do this on his own. So I went in to see the cut and I'm talking to Shawni.
Yeah.
We just make small talk. She's editing and it's cute. And I walk out and I go, and I don't ask out girls just because I'm not cool. I'm like, I'm going to ask her out. I said, hey, what are you doing?
Well, didn't you first ask it was okay?
Oh, yes. I asked Mike. I said,
By the way, I was not dating his partner. We'd gone out a few times, but it wasn't like we were dating.
Yeah.
Just clean slate, right?
I just want it because I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I just also, you don't want to know. I don't know what's going to happen with Shawni. I don't know I called Mike back on the rotary phone and I said, hey, I'm thinking of asking out Shawni. Would you have a problem with that? He's like, no, you can do what you want. Technically, I'm not dating her. I don't. Would you have a problem with that? He's like, well, no. I mean, I can't stop you. Go, whatever you want.
Okay.
So I talked to Shawni. Again, this was a Friday night, and I said, what are you doing tonight? She said, I might be working late. I said, do you want to go to dinner? And she said, I'll let you know.
I wasn't being cool. I really wasn't. It's long hours, and I didn't know when I was
As an
finishing.
editor.
So
I said, hey, what are you doing tonight? And she said, I don't know. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if I'm working. I may be working. I have to work late night. I said, okay, so call me. I'm around if you want to go to dinner.
meanwhile, I get a call at the Edit Bay from his writing partner who says, hey, a bunch of us are going out tonight. Why don't you come? We're going out for sushi. Why don't you come with us? And I was like, oh.
Sushi Roku. So he calls me up then. The last we know for me is Shawni's going to let me know if she's working. Then Mike calls me and goes, you dog, you asked out Shawni tonight. And I said, well, yeah, I asked you. I said, do you have a problem with that? She said, no, I didn't ask you a problem. I said, how do you know? She said, because I just asked her to dinner with me and Spence to go to Sushi Roku. And she said, well, Jeff asked me out already. She said she was going to go out with you. He said, well, what if we all go out? And I said, what if you go F yourself There's no world where I'm going out on my first date with Shawni and you and Spence. So now I know the answer that she already said she's going to go out with me.
Ooh, nice.
But listen to how cool
Almost
I am.
Shakespearean
Right.
in its structure.
It's so...
Right?
I'm so cool. And by the way, and Shawni knows this about me now, and you know this about me now, and you probably know this about me for knowing me for 3 minutes. I
Not
am not a
cool.
cool person at all. This was all divine intervention. So Shawni then calls me.
And I say, hey, I'm off work. Mike called and said that he and Spence are going out there, going out for sushi,
Yeah.
and asked if I said, why don't we all just go?
I say, and this is one of the cool things. So back then, my grandmother just died. I got out of this horrible relationship. I started seeing this shrink, and I said, I just was in a very low place. I was in a very, very place because of this terrible relationship. When a girl tries to kill you, like you get. And my grandmother was very close to her, and so I started doing this thing called adventure fitness training, which was this insane marine training, like running up dunes and stuff like that. And she said, we're thinking of going out at 8:30. I said, you know what? I said, I have an early morning. I have to be down in Marina Del Rey. I'm doing this adventure fitness training. I said, why don't you go out with Mike and Spence, and you and I will take a rain check. Now, there's no world those words would come out of my mouth. It would be like, and really answer would have been, well, then marry me. But instead, I said, why don't you go with him? And then she said, no, I'd rather go out with you.
Look at that.
Right?
And
Playa. How did that first date go?
so can I tell you something? After the relationship fell apart with the horrible woman, I decided I was going to get, because I had only been in serious relationships. I had gone from one terrible long-term serious relationship to another. And I decided that I was going to really sow my oats. So I got a place overlooking the Hollywood sign. And I decided I was going to date every single woman who wore a name tag for her job in the town. And so every oat. That was my dream. I aimed not low. I don't want to disparage the people listening who wear name tags for their job. God bless. I think it's wonderful. I wish everyone wore a name tag. I'm terrible at names. Shawni, spoiler alert, is the only oat I wound up having. And Shawni was my first oat. So Shawni comes up to this house.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. You can literally almost touch the Hollywood sign from his balcony. I walk up to the door and I start to knock, but I stop because coming out of the door, I hear the Partridge Family. I hear David Cassidy singing, I think I love you. And
It was not David Cassidy.
It was
Who was
Jeff
it?
Astrof singing, so what am I so afraid of?
I'm afraid that I'm not sure. Love there is no cure for.
And I thought, oh my God, he would be
I think I
mortified
love
if
you.
he knew that I was standing out here and hearing him sing this song. And I'm waiting. I'm like, should I knock? Should I wait for the song to be over? And I just knocked, and he answers the door, singing the song.
I think I love you. Isn't that what life is made of?
This is the other cool moment.
But she came in,
You
and
were expecting her or no? You were expecting her.
Yes, he was.
I wasn't like
expecting me.
I didn't have it on replay. I was just singing because I was
I
excited
understand,
for the
but,
date.
But you were going to sing that song full breath, no matter
No.
who was at the door.
Yes.
Could have been FedEx.
Yes.
I was singing
He
the
was.
song.
It wasn't a
You
message.
didn't look through a peephole and see it was her.
No.
I was like,
You were singing your song.
yes, no, it was like I was playing
You're excited.
good music.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
So we go out to, and it's very funny now because we were, both religious Jews. But back then, our first date on a Friday night was to Yang Chow, where we had slippery shrimp. Yep,
You remember?
slippery shrimp.
Oh, yeah.
So then we came back, and then I remember I kissed her at the door, and it was very, very nice. The next day we went to yoga, Brian Kest's sweaty yoga.
The next day. So good first day for dinner.
Yeah.
Next day we go out for
You
yoga.
locked it in
go out
that
for
night.
yoga.
You're like, let's go to do yoga tomorrow.
Well, we went up spending like the whole weekend together, but not like sleepover stuff.
First date goes great.
It was great.
Is
And
that
it was-
right?
How long was it before you knew you were in love?
I was really holding on because I really knew that I had a bad picker. Also because I wanted to sow oats. And then there was one other girl I was kind of dating. And I went on one date. And I don't know if I went on a date after or before you. Probably before. I knew that this was like a girl from high school who moved out here. And like a fantasy girl. And she had all the traits of my ex. She was crazy. She had no furniture because her boyfriend just left her and took all the furniture. And she had a little dog. And she was crazy, and I was like, this seems comfortable. This is what I need. And Shawni was not that. Shawni was warm and loving and happy and nice. So this is the famous part of our story. And this is the really cool part of our story. Because our first date was like December 18th. I went away skiing with a good buddy of mine, Adam Chase, and we just went out, and we were away for like the Christmas week. I went skiing. I said, do I call Shawni? He's like, you do not call her, you be cool. I was like, okay. So I called her. She was at her parents' house. You were at her parents'
I was
house.
at my parents'.
Called you like right away, and we had like a really long talk. It was so uncool. It was like God must have been like, okay, I'm not going to let him do this alone anymore. And I called you. I probably called you a lot
You
over
did.
that. Yes, we went out December 18th, and I'm already calling her a lot at her parents' house.
Right.
Not cool. But
cool.
we were very easy. There was no nonsense in our relationship. It wasn't weird at all. It was never weird. So here's the crazy thing. We're dating now, and it's, even though I wasn't seriously, I wasn't thinking marriage at all, Shawni, but we didn't say anything. We didn't say that we were going to be
Exclusive.
because I still had in my dumb mind, my dumb caveman mind, that I need to sow my oats before I settle down with someone. And that was like blocking me. And also because Shawni was just so nice, and it's just like, it just did not satisfy my dumb need for chaos. New Year's Eve, this is after me calling her all week. New Year's Eve comes, and I'm back
And
for
I'm
New
like,
Year's Eve.
okay, we're like really vibing. This is real. We're having so much fun. Obviously,
Yeah.
New Year's Eve is coming up. Obviously, we're going someplace together. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait. December 31st comes, and I have still no invitation from Jeff for New Year's Eve.
I think Shawni finally said, hey, what are you doing New Year's Eve? And I said, oh, I'm going out with my sister.
His sister. And I'm thinking, right, his sister.
You were out with your sister? I was like, yeah, so my sister had just moved to town. She just moved to LA. My sister also now is a very famous writer, and she and I are very, very close. I said, yeah, I think it's important. It's her first New Year's here. I don't want to leave her alone, so I'm going out with my sister. And Shawni's like, okay. So there was a fortune teller at this party we went to. The fortune teller reads my cards, and it's like, oh, you have a very successful project coming up, a career or something. And then she said, oh, the love card is very strong with you. So you met the girl that you're going to marry. This girl has long hair, like, okay. She's blonde, straight hair, blue eyes. And I was like, oh my God. I said, I'm really going to marry this girl? She's like, yeah, this is the love of your life. She's talking about Shawni. So that was New Year's Eve. And then the big thing was there was a break in my job. I wanted to do something dramatic and adventurous. I decided I was going to go Africa. There's a walking safari in Africa. I was going to be away for the 24th of February, which is my birthday. I make a big deal of my birthday. Great. Now, Shawni, I also told Shawni, it's like, I want to have a party. And she said, just have a party when you get home. I decided to go to Africa, and I don't tell without any type of, this is what we are we seeing other people in Africa? You wonder who you could see in Africa. I wondered that too. But I was just on my adventure quest in Africa. And
You were still sowing oats.
He was sowing oats.
I was sowing oats. There was not an oat to sow there. The Maasai.
Zimbabwe? Where were you in Africa?
I was in Zimbabwe. I decided that, like, okay, I'm in Africa. I'm putting Shawni a little bit on hold because I'm living my adventure now. It was an adventure safari. I wrote her a couple of postcards. They were mostly animal puns. It took, I think, from that to get to back the postcards from Zimbabwe or Tanzania to LA about 3 weeks.
A long time. Meanwhile, back in LA, I'm thinking, I haven't heard from this guy. Like, we were having so much fun, and then he goes to Africa. I haven't heard from him. My friend, who is in the travel industry, said, if he wanted to call you, he could call you. I'm like, but, well, maybe, he's on a safari. Maybe he's off in, I don't know, somewhere where there's no phone. She's like, no, if he wanted to call you, he could call you. And I'm thinking, okay, we had fun. He doesn't want to call. I guess it's not what I thought.
So the truth is, I wasn't in Ngorongoro crater, and this was pre-cell phone. I did, when I got bit by this animal, it's funny because it was the beginning of the trip. I called Erin, my assistant, and she became like a little bit of your nemesis, I think, because I called her and told her just to check in with you. She called or something. She said, oh, I spoke to Jeff, and you got mad. You said, have you heard anything from Jeff? And she said, yeah, I spoke to him. But that's
because he could call his assistant, but he couldn't call me. So I felt like, okay, this is clear to me what's happening.
But this was also the very first week. That was the only week. I was in South Africa. So I was in Cape Town, which was the only part of the trip that I had phones. After that, it was very
remote. Yeah.
Yes, remote. Midway through, I have my birthday. I get drunk, and I'm alone in my tent. Where the whole time I am drunk and crying as I turned 33, alone, and I wrote in my journal, I said, Shawni is, I'm going to cry here. I said, Shawni is beautiful, she's sweet, she is so kind. I don't think I'll marry her, but I hope someday I'm healthy enough to marry someone just like her.
Meanwhile, back in the States, I'm writing in my journal, Jeff is so incredible. He's so much fun. We have such a great time together. I don't think I'm going to marry him, but I hope it's someone just like him.
Wait, come on.
Promise you,
Stop
it's
it.
in our
Yes,
journals.
it's in our journals.
No, you still have those journals?
Yes.
Yeah, somewhere packed away in the
How
box.
crazy is that?
Wait, like,
For 4
that's
weeks.
the divine intervention.
Right?
you're talking about.
Yes.
I'm like, this guy, he's ready to get married. I could tell he was going to get married soon, but not to me. That's what I thought.
Because you weren't crazy enough.
Because I wasn't crazy enough. I knew what kind of relationships he sort of seemed to thrive in or be attracted to, and that wasn't me.
It comes out to we're at the closing in on the 4-week mark. I'm having a great time in Africa. Shawni makes a decision.
I know what day he's coming home. If I don't hear from him on that day, then I just have to assume he's not interested. That was my decision. I thought if he doesn't call me, then I'm going to start going with other people. I'm like, if I don't hear from him.
If he doesn't get in touch with me by this date, she knew when I was going back. Meanwhile, back in Africa, I decide I'm going to extend my trip. I'm having the best time, and I'm going to go on a safari in Johannesburg, and I'm going to extend my trip. And back then, the only way to get in touch from Tanzania was via fax. So I faxed my travel agent, and I said, I have a flight out to Johannesburg. Can you book me a ticket? I want to go on a safari. Just book me a 2-week. Not knowing that had I not returned on the right day, it would have been over. The second I send this fax out, I come down. I've never been as sick as I was. Walking back, because he had to go to the place, and all of a sudden my stomach just starts churning. And I had just the worst stomach problems of my life. So I faxed my travel agent and said, cancel my plans. I have to come home. I changed my flight, and I got better.
And he landed on the right day.
And I called
He
her.
called me. He said, hey, I'm going to be in the airport at this time. I said, great. I said, I'd love to pick you up. I'll be there. I was so excited.
And I call her up and like, how's the trip? Because I'm in New York. I land in New York on the right day, the last possible day that I could call her. I said, hey, I just got New York. I'm landing in L.A. tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I don't know if you're available.
Right. And I said, I am available. I am all about you today.
And I said, that's great, but maybe you should be all about yourself. Can you imagine? Like, God takes his foot off the gas. God says, okay, I'm going to let you say one thing. And then, what a dick.
And yet?
Yes, it was so stupid, but I get better. So anyway, that was like pushing my luck. So we get back. Shawni's like, what are we doing? And
Let's clarify things
It's
now.
time. It's time.
yes, she's like, you've been gone now for 4 weeks. I picked you up from the airport. Where are we? Like, what are we doing? She said, are you ready to commit? She said, if you're ready to commit, I'm ready to commit. Like, I don't know where we are. And I said, look, I just got out of a relationship. And I said, honestly, I'm not really ready to commit. I know.
Schmuck.
Schmuck.
Sorry.
I gave up everything after this. This is my last stand. I said, like, I'm really not ready to commit yet. I'm not. I just got out of a fun relationship. I said, I still think we should see other people.
I said, okay, great.
And I said, what are you doing tonight? I said, do you want to go out tonight, though? Do you want to go out for dinner?
I said, I already have plans for dinner tonight. Someone else asked me out. I was just waiting to see what was going on with us before I said yes.
Bluff called.
Yeah.
She called my bluff in such a gigantic way.
So then I'm on my date. This was back before cell phones. That was answering machine time. And I get home and I see my answering machine's like beeping. Like it has all the flashing lights. I'm like, what the heck? Beep. Hi, Shawni, it's Jeff. I'm just wondering, if you were home yet. I was thinking maybe of going shopping for a new dining room table tomorrow. I was wondering maybe I could really use your help because I don't really have that kind of taste. So maybe you can come out with me. Okay, call me when you get home. Beep. Hi, Shawni, it's Jeff. Just checking in to see if you're around yet. Okay. Beep. Hi, Shawni, it's Jeff. I'm wearing a really cute fleece. I would love to come by and show it to you. So just give me a call when you get home. Endless messages
Like
from him.
5 or 8 messages. It's like, wow, that's a really long time. Like, I'm out in front of your house. I don't see your car yet. Is everything okay? Just call me to let me know everything's okay. The next day, I said, I think we should just see each other.
There you go. You know
Right.
what? Sometimes that's all it takes.
The next day, I was like, yeah, I only want to see you. She's like, okie doke.
My story is much too sad to be told, but practically everything leaves me totally cold. The only exception I know is the case When I'm out on a quiet spree, fighting vainly the old ennui, then I suddenly turn and see your fabulous face. I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. So tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you? Some dig the perfume from Spain. I'm sure that if I took even one sniff, it would bore me terrifically too. Yet I get a kick out of you. I get a kick every time I see you standing there before me. I get a kick, though it's clear to see you obviously you don't adore me. I get no kick in a plane, flying too high with some gal in the sky is my idea of nothing to do. Yet I get a kick. You give me a boost, I get a kick out of you. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
We dated for a couple of months after that. That was like March. I asked my friend Adam and my friend Ira, listen, what do you think? Do you think I should ask Shawni to marry me? My friend Adam said, yes. Are you an idiot? She's way out of your league. Like, you're the biggest idiot in the world. If you don't, I will. Like, everybody loved Shawni. My friend Ira said, I don't think you should ask her because I think that it's just like nature will abhor that relationship because she's so out of your league. I don't think you deserve her. And I was like, okay. So then I decided I was going to do it. I was going to ask her to marry me. April comes, so it's Passover time, and Shawni's going to meet my dad for the first time. My dad and my stepmom. The stepmom's name is Kathy, and that becomes relevant in a second. I'm driving my parents up, and we're going to have Passover in my house. I said, listen, you're going to meet my girlfriend. Her name is Shawni. I said, it's pretty serious, but I want you to act like I've spoken about her, but not too seriously. So, like, I need to, like, balance this, like, thread this needle here. And he's like, okay, I know. To the backstory, you should know Shawni, obviously, look at her. She's quarter Native American. So my dad's in the kitchen with Shawni. He comes out 2 minutes later after meeting her and goes, Kathy, we're going to have Indian grandchildren. What happened to being cool? And that night, my stepmom, Kathy, told me that my dad, not a religious guy, prayed that I would marry Shawni. And not only that, but he said, I really think Shawni, because remember my grandmother had passed away in the past year, he goes, I think Shawni is my mother reincarnated. Now, Shawni would have to be 6 months old at that point to be my grandmother reincarnated. I don't think he thought any of that through.
So he was very close to his grandmother. She was like his mother. She really
I called her
raised
mom.
him. There was one night, and I was just thinking, I
was sleeping. I was taking that.
He was sleeping. I was like just snuggled up next to him. And
on the couch.
On the couch. I was just thinking about her. I thought, I wonder if she would have liked me, because that was the most important person to him. And I was just really wishing I would have met her and wishing that she would have just been around for a little longer so I would know if she liked me. Okay, this makes me cry every time. I felt this, it felt like someone was hugging me. I felt like this big hug, and I thought, okay, I have her blessing.
Right, so we had my grandmother's blessing, clearly my father's blessing. I remember I asked your dad if I could marry you. We went up to the lake, and we were up in the lake in Oregon. Sean's from Oregon.
It was a family reunion, so
So
everybody
you're from
was there.
Oregon?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you were at a family reunion up in Oregon?
Yeah.
at the
And
lake.
so, without Shawni having any idea that any of this was happening,
Yes, I said, I just want, I'd like to ask your permission to marry your daughter. And he just started sobbing. I was like, I'm like, I'm going ring shopping. So we ate at Bird's restaurant. And I asked Shawni, I said, if I was going to get you like a jewelry thing, what type of jewelry would you want? Because I didn't know what to get. I said, what kind of like jewelry if I were to get you a jewelry thing? What kind of thing would you like?
Both knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, she cracked that code.
And so I looked at the table and I picked up a butter pat from the thing. And I said, you could buy me this pat of butter and I would be happy.
Went to Allie, my friend Allie, and I said, let's buy a ring. So I went ring shopping and we went to a place called the Antiquarius. Oh. So we saw some rings and we saw this is like really special. And she said, well, I just got this ring from an estate sale. It's 1920 Tiffany. And I had just bought a house that we were going to live in together. It was a 1920 house, and it was this beautiful 3-stone diamond ring, and it was gorgeous, gorgeous. I saw that do that, so I bought this ring. I got the ring, and it was burning a hole in my pocket. I was like, okay, I have to ask her today because I got the ring. So July 31st. So I went and I bought all this butter. I spelled out "Marry Me" in butter, and a big pile of butter pats with the ring on top.
where were you when you did that?
I was at my home.
At the scene of the crime of I Think I Love You with David Cassidy.
Right.
The same spot.
And I put it out with roses, and I spelled out "Marry Me" with butter so that Shawni would come in through the door, open it, and it was a very hot day, and Shawni was late. And I had the camera set up. Shawni's like an hour late. It is melting everywhere. So Shawni comes in. I'm like waiting on my knee like for an hour. And then she comes in like, hi. He's like, what's this? She couldn't read it because it was all like melted. And plus we had a dog, Tahoe, that kind of had at it. It's like, meh. No, what?
Meh.
Meh? Meh? What? What is this? And I said, it says marry me. I was like, you've made me the happiest person in your life. I can't bear to live another day without you. And then, will you marry me? She said, no. Then
I said yes.
Yes. And then she hugged me, and then she kissed me.
And I said, it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yes.
To the camera. We have this on video.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
And then we took a picture of us with the sunset. We had a celebratory dinner at Il Cielo. And Shawni said, so am I going to convert before or after we get married? And I was like, you're going to convert? And she's like, well, she knew for me, it was important that my kids were Jewish. And for her, it was very important that our kids had a relationship with God and were spiritual. And we had a great wedding.
Where was the wedding at?
It was at Casa del Mar, which is right next to Shutters.
Yeah.
It was the third place we saw. And I was like, this looks great. It looks kind of like New York-y because it had brick. And I said, we'll take it.
Was it a big wedding?
So it was 125 people. It was amazing. Wow.
It was a beautiful wedding.
And it was so much fun. It was really, really great. The honeymoon was the best part. The honeymoon was fantastic. We still talk about this today, and I said that we should do. Yes, it was the best trip of our life. We started in Capri.
I'd never been to Europe.
It was so good. It was so magical. And we were in Capri, and we had limoncello. There's a Lemon Grove restaurant there, and we saw this picture one night. We came back, and there's this beautiful picture of Capri in the square, and it was very expensive, and it was giant. And I was like, we have to buy this. And Shawni's like, I don't know, it's a lot. I was like, I love this painting. It's my favorite painting. And we agreed, if we see it tomorrow morning, if we love it, we'll buy it. And we did. And we bought it. And then 6 months later, it showed up. And it's our favorite painting in the world.
It's in our house.
We went to the Blue Grotto. And there was this guy there who made bruschetta. And he said, the bruschetta is mine. And he was tossing us tomatoes that he grew in his garden and giving us wine from his own cellar. It was so magical. We did a week in Rome, a few days in Venice. And then we went to Paris for a week.
Wow.
And then it was magic. The whole time was magic. And then we came back and had one night in Milan. It was just, we peaked on vacations then, though. Unfortunately.
And then we had a baby the next year.
And then we had
so
a
what are you
baby.
gonna do?
Our daughter's birthday is the day after and 1 year after.
Our first wedding anniversary.
And how many children do you have?
Two.
Okay, so then what would be your best advice for your children or for anybody who's starting out? How do you find the one, and how do you make love last?
We both hold each other in such high esteem. I want him to feel like the king of the house, and he wants me to feel like the queen of the house. We treat each other like that.
And each person should believe they married up. And I don't know why she does, but
I
You'll
do.
take it.
yeah, I'll
You'll
take it. No, I really think that both people should believe that they married up. For me, it's easy. You marry someone I told my kids, marry someone very pretty. Because
That
I tell
doesn't
them, I
hurt.
said, looks last forever. Ethics change, morals change. No, for me, it's very easy. You have to have the same values. I think values are the most important thing. Marry somebody kind and somebody who trends happy. And it's not always easy. And I'm anxious, but I'm not depressed. And I trend happy. And you marry somebody who brings out the best in you. I mean, Shawni brings out the absolute best in me.
That is such good advice. That is excellent advice, actually.
That is excellent advice.
And
Amazing.
You know, don't take it for granted and just know and just be friends. I don't know, that's why I tell my kids, like, you know, you get stuck on so many dumb things. And like my daughter is like, you know, in her early 20s now, she's dating and she's certain things and she's like, well, politics aren't. I said, politics aren't values. Like politics can be values, but if you have a gut reaction that somebody's like conservative, somebody's too liberal, something like that, I said, like, what are the core values? What's it based on? Like if your core value, because you can get over, like Shawni and I don't. You know, our politics were very, very similar, and they become there. It's less important than what your
change
values are. Like,
But that's like, we were kind of talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, all these people that think they're on different sides right now, if they actually talk to each other, they'd find out their values
Right.
actually
They
very
want-
much are the
yeah,
same.
it's
They want
values.
the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
That's what like you have to, and you know, I think you just have to talk about like what are your values. Take labels out of it, and like what are your values? What's important to you? For us, it's important that we have a God-based life. We believe in being kind and being good to other people, and you know, we're very, very protective of our family, and we're just be good, do good things, be good, and try not to be
Yeah.
jealous.
Well, it's really so nice to have you both because you're both so intelligent and so warm. You're so still in love with each other.
We are.
That's so evident.
We really are still madly in love with each other.
That's incredible.
In fact, right now we're going to smooch in front of you, so you.
On that note,
This is why we don't film it. By the way, we're not going to do that because Shawni would never let me. I would do it in a second.
I'm sure I have no doubt.
Okay.
Okay, smoochers. Well, listen, we're so glad that you joined us today, and we're going to be right back with more for Love and Chocolate. This podcast is being brought to you by Beverly Hills Toysher, Chocolates of Switzerland. Beverly Hills Toysher at 371 North Camden Drive in Beverly Hills has been serving up truffles, pralines, dipped fruits, marzipans, and our world-famous chocolate bars for over 40 years. So, next time you're in Beverly Hills, why don't you come by and visit or shop online at BeverlyHillsToysher.com. Well, how about that, Mrs. Truffles? Aren't they fantastic?
I just want to be their best friends.
You can, Mrs. Truffles. I think they really liked you. You know, I've known them for so long, but like a fine wine, they just get better with age.
Oh, they're so much fun, and they're
really are.
so cute and in love. That was an amazing interview.
It was.
I love them.
Me too. Well, everybody, thanks again for joining us. And guess what? We're going to do it again next week. But until then, say goodbye, Mrs. Truffles.
Goodbye, Mrs. Truffles.
This show was brought to you by Beverly Hills Toysher Chocolates of Switzerland, home of the world's first and finest champagne truffles. Join us next week for more adventures in everlasting love.